Fellow Leggers, we are at the cinema.
I know, this is a change of scene, isn't it?
Not the theatre,
well,
because...
in America they call them movie theatres.
So
we're
technically,
sort of at the
we
theatre.
are, because we're seeing the movie... Cats!
And against my sort of better judgment, but on the advice of you fellow Leggers, saying we should see it, we owe it to our Legger community to go and see this, which has been, based on the trailer alone, has been sort of...
Scary, terrifying, traumatic.
I would say, apparently, the British public were more traumatised about the idea of this film from the trailer than they were about a Tory government.
Well, it puts it all in perspective. Anyway, stick around to hear all of our thoughts.
Yeah, find out how many stars.
And whether it's break a leg
or leg it.
Wow. Cats, the movies we're here to see.
Yeah.
What do we need to know about Cats?
Well, we saw a version of the stage production, a new production.
Just
actually,
this year,
at
Kilworth House. We did. I've also seen it in the New London Theatre, which would have been
you
that.
saw the original production?
The Gillian Lane choreography,
yeah,
Trevor Nunn direction.
Let's talk a little bit about that. If you want to know more about the history of the stage show, you can catch our review from Kilworth House. But it's based on the 1981 stage musical of the same name, featuring music by Andrew Lloyd Webber, lyrics by T.S. Eliot, as the words to the songs are taken from the 1939 poetry book, Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats.
Yes.
Now,
which is a weird place to start.
Yeah.
But hey.
I mean, the plot is a bit non-existent, really.
There is no plot.
But it's about a group of cats called the Jellicle Cats who are auditioning to be basically sacrificed, to be basically taken to the Heaviside layer, which is presumably their version of heaven, and then reborn into a new life as a brand new cat. Now, in the film, it's been directed by Tom Hooper, whose other major credit is another stage 2 film adaptation.
Les Miserables.
Les Miserables. And that was in 2012, and it has a box office smash. It grossed $441 million, and Anne Hathaway picked up an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress for her portrayal of Fantine. He assembled a stellar cast back then for Les Mis, and he's done it again, guys, because who's in this?
Who isn't in
I
think that's probably the approach to go for, right?
Absolutely. You've got James Corden as Bustopher Jones, Jason Derulo as Rum Tum Tugger, Idris Elba as McCavity, Taylor Swift of Bomb Ballerina, Rebel Wilson as Jenny Anydots, Ian McKellen as Gus the Theatre Cat. You've got Jennifer Hudson as Grisabella, and also the Dame herself, Judi Dench.
Playing old Deuteronomy.
Playing old Deuteronomy. It's typically played by a man.
Yes,
so
typically.
Shaking it up. Interesting fact, Dame Judi Dench was originally to be Grisabella in the original stage production.
She was, but she had an accident. She sustained an injury.
She ripped her Achilles.
Which then launched the career of, who was it?
Elaine
Page.
Auntie Elaine, as we like to call her. Auntie Elaine. But she'd already done Evita at that point, I think.
But now she's synonymous with the song Memory. You think Memory, you think Elaine Page.
And you mentioned earlier Gillian Lynn's choreography, which is as iconic to that production as any of the songs, including Memory and Mr. Mistopheles, all those numbers. But they've done away with that choreography for this, and a brand new choreographer's on board for the film by way of Andy Blankenbuehler, whose previous choreography includes the original stage musicals 9 to 5, Bring It On, and he's a 3-time Tony Award winner for In the Heights, Bandstand and Hamilton.
Did he do In the Heights as well?
Yeah, he did.
Okay,
and he won Tonys for all 3 of those things. Runtime an hour and 50 minutes. I am equally as excited as I am completely terrified. I'm wondering whether it's going to get us purring with delight or beg for the steely cold needle of the euthanasia from the vet.
Well, the only way we're going to find out if we're going to be put down.
Put down? Are we going to be putting this down, are we? We shouldn't. There's people
as if we go in and see it.
As if we go. We are. We're going to take the hit. Or perhaps we're going to be
take the hit for you. Who knows?
For you, fellow legs. So stick around to the end and find out how many stars, all of our thoughts, and but what we think.
See you then.
See you then.
Oh, fellow leggers.
Do you feel like
I've
got a feeling we might be coughing up a few hairballs in this review?
Oh, fellow leggers.
I mean, it's an experience, and it's something. Do you know what? I didn't I've seen some no-star reviews for this. I've seen some like people that have absolutely, these critics, mainstream critics, that have mauled this to death with the ferocity of a feral animal, and I don't feel that strongly about it.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
well, I've got to almost paint the picture because
And
let's
just,
go.
can we stop one second? Because I just want to warn
Guess
them.
we are.
Spoilers ahead. Like, if you're planning on seeing
Potential
this,
spoilers.
yeah,
There
I
isn't
can't-
much of a spoiler. Well,
No, if
maybe.
you've never-
Maybe
if you
there
know
is. Maybe if you've
nothing
never
about
seen it.
this-
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Some
just
potential
so you
spoilers
know,
ahead.
we may talk about
But
things which
we'll
could
try and-
spoil it for
Okay.
you. But do you know what?
So-
Nothing's going to spoil your experience more than actually seeing it, right?
So, first of all, the reason this isn't a great piece in terms of a narrative. There is
No.
no story. There is no real. The plot is so thin. It's pretty much a variety show, is what you're watching.
Yes.
And the reason why this show worked in the first place is because that.
In your opinion?
I think it's probably universal.
Okay.
That thin story, but it's always delivered by a really strong cast.
Yes.
Who can sing.
Yes.
And I mean, they can sing
And they
some
can
great
dance.
songs. And they can dance,
Yeah.
and we're talking about some of the best choreography. Gillian Lynne almost revolutionised this vision, quite acrobatic,
Yeah.
balletic
In the original
tap
production.
in there, which launched it. The creativity of the set also was really inspiring, and it worked in that context. Once you kind of accepted there's no story, you can't help but admire the talent and how that's delivered from the cast
And
on stage.
that's the point for me. I think the most of the stage experience, Joy, comes in the fact that those people are doing that 8 times a week.
Yes,
and
and you have
never
nothing-
missing a beat. Do you
And
know
you have
what I
nothing
mean?
but admiration for their skill,
Absolutely.
technique, their craft.
Yeah.
So in this, what we do is we strip that out.
Yes,
we get rid of singers. Who needs singers? A large part of it, most of it, for me, probably about 94% of it. There's some movement going on, but I couldn't really see much.
And-
so 94% of that technical craft of dance and movement was also
And
stripped out
that
of it.
is the real tragedy of this piece. This has been given to a director who wants to focus more on his star names, giving them extreme close-ups and going, look, we've got Judi Dench here. Oh my God, look, we've got Judi Dench. And I could tell that things were going on around her
It looked
and
like good
around us.
movement.
Yeah, but do you know what? We decided just to not look at that. We don't zoom out at any point and take on a spectacle of a dance piece, which is what Cats is. Andy Blankenbuehler may as well have not shown up to choreograph this. You could have choreographed this on the budget of about a $5 bill and still had change. There was just so much missing.
And the thing is, the guy
from
is
it.
talented.
We
The
know
guy
he's
can
talented.
move a cast on the
Yes.
stage. When
Yeah.
you're in as an audience member seeing
Yeah.
his work on stage and you'll see it moving and you're able to focus on certain bits and he can move people around and we can be directed by that, he does good work.
And
I could tell there
Yeah.
was stuff going on,
And-
but I didn't see any of it.
And he would have been pushing them to do that and to deliver. And do you know what? If I was one of those cast members that worked my ass off on this, and then all that was shown on stage was me in the background sort of moving out of shot, I'd have been pissed off.
Because I can tell that the cast are talented.
And
way-
that's the
if They're
point.
bringing their leg up and
Their
they're pointing.
ensemble cast
The
are
ensemble
clearly
cast, and
very
they're taking
talented.
on the characters.
Yes.
Like I can tell the cast is captured, and I think that is one of the good things. Let's talk about good points.
Okay, let's talk about the good points.
The director has amassed a great cast.
Yeah, by and large.
I'm not talking about in terms of ability what they did in this, but
Okay.
he's got great names.
Okay, yes, he has
So
attracted
he's pulled
great
together
names.
great names.
And I mean, he must have sold them a vision which hasn't come to fruition, I would think, because he sold them a lie, you know. Oh no, if he sold them screen time, then they got screen time.
They got
Perhaps
screen time.
more of it than they deserved in some cases, I thought.
I don't think it's any of their fault.
No, it's not their fault. Let's
don't-
not blame the cast, and let's just nip it in the bud now. By and large, we can tell they've worked hard and they have delivered what has been asked of them. Unfortunately, what has been asked of them is a load of cat crap.
And I can tell a lot of work has gone into this.
Mm-hmm.
I found the first. It took me a while to get used to some of the kind of animation.
Yeah.
It looked really odd and
Yeah.
really weird, overly superimposed, almost as if it was on a bit of a cheaper budget. I don't know if I got used to it or it got better as it went on, but the early sequences, the first 5 to 15 minutes, I felt really uncomfortable. I was thinking, what am I looking at here?
Because there's animation on their faces, there's animation on their fur, there's animation on the people. Do you know what the most distracting thing was for me? Their feet.
There were
What
moments.
was going on with their feet? They weren't touching the floor.
Yes, I noticed as well. Which is really odd because
They were walking, but they were walking sort of about 3 mil above the
now,
ground.
I guess you're wondering
What
why
was
is this an
going
issue? But if
on?
they're dancing,
Yeah.
there's something about dance which is the contact of
Yes.
the floor. It's that groundedness of being able to see the movement and the elevation.
But they were
But because
hovering
it was almost green screen superimposed
onto the floor.
when they were still, their foot was still moving,
around,
which
it
then just
reminded
really
me-
distorted the dance movement.
Remember the really early video games, you know, like Tomb Raider, where nothing was quite fluid and everything was blocky and awkward? It just felt like a really cheap, you know, late, sort of mid-90s video game technology. And the fact that you've got London on the doorstep to where this was filmed. This was filmed in the UK by and large. They've assembled a
Great.
great
Well,
UK...
that's another good
Yeah,
thing.
they filmed a great UK cast. You know, the ensemble members, were a lot of them that we recognise from stage
theatre,
work
yeah,
here
absolutely.
in the UK. Yet they've decided to not use any external shots of London. Not a single one. It was all just badly drawn, awful, horrible green screen CGI. And it felt like a waste. We've got one of the most beautiful cities in the world, yet we've decided to just give you... And what era was it in?
I wanted to say it was in the 50s.
No, I think it was in the
50s,
1930s. I think it was in the sort of 20s, 30s, maybe sort of pre-war Art Deco phase. Yet we had street dance and trainers at one point. What the hell was that?
Do you know what? I hadn't thought about
the
that.
hell was that?
Kind of modern.
Yeah.
Is it now or then? However, so that's animation was dodgy, but I
Yeah.
got used to it. Something the animation did bring, I thought they had movement of ears, which actually were quite nicely done, in tune with the emotions of the characters, I think. So I thought that amplified it. Also, the tails were all moving in time again, and like nice moments with the tails. So that I thought brought something else to it.
So
I
you-
think that's the only good thing I can say about the animation.
About the animation. About the
At
CGI.
times I thought, okay, that's a nice touch. A subtle movement of the ear to amplify that emotion worked.
Okay.
That's
So
fine.
maybe the
Animation did
director,
work.
maybe Tom Hooper has a future at Industrial Light and Magic, right?
Quite
But that's
possibly.
it. It doesn't. I mean, this. I think this will ruin him personally. I think this will ruin the director. He won't be trusted with the musical again. If he is, I will eat. I will go in. I will eat my dinner from a litter tray just for you, fellow Leggers.
If he does a musical again,
if he ever gets trusted with a musical again,
I think it probably depends on the type of musical.
Now-
Les Mis is what he's done before, which is
let's-
very
can we-
narrative
can we
driven. There are
talk-
no dance
Can
numbers,
we
whereas this is
talk
dance
about
through.
Les Mis for a second? For you, I know the weakest thing about Les Mis was the direction. Now, you can hide behind a tremendous score, you can hide behind a strong story, and you have those elements in Les Mis, but what everyone knows in Cats is a good director has to ignore the fact there is no story and sort of give you something else. Tom Hooper has not got the ability to give you anything else, and also you've got to acknowledge that the score is quite samey in a lot of places. And you know what the score wasn't in this? Bloody loud enough.
See, again, that's
What
the
a
great thing about a
waste.
stage experience, is when it's ramped up and some of those harmonies and
Those overture
awfully
moments,
blended.
awfully
The cast can't
blended.
always sing.
No.
I love.
I wanted those, you know, the overture.
Almost gone on to cast then, but we'll save it. The
save that.
overture-
I wanted those. I was waiting
Rousing.
for the
Absolutely, that-
I want to be blown back into my seat.
Yes.
I want to feel every single beat.
And the score is full of those moments.
It is,
Even Angelica
but they're
Ball
just
moment at the end. Pass you
completely
by.
pass you by.
However,
Don't-
one of those moments
it's
did
not one
land.
to listen
I
to.
think there were six. I could probably say there were 6 or 7
So out
minutes.
of nearly 2 hours of music.
6 or 7 minutes that I actually enjoyed.
Okay.
Where they actually got it right.
I think
one of those moments was the memory moment, the
Yeah.
touch me, where they did have that musical crescendo,
swelling
the swell,
of the score.
and we've kind of followed that character, and you can see why that moment lands in the show, and I think they did get it right in this. For that moment, that minute, the hairs on the back of my arms did kind of prick up. I thought,
Like you were a
"Oh,
cat, sort of
that's
ready to
nice."
pounce.
Yeah, and actually, what else really
Get the
worked
cat,
for me?
Cat teeth.
We'll talk about cast a second,
Yep.
but Skimbleshanks, the railway cat,
Yes.
was one of the only cast, I think, that was a true trained professional. Usually it's Mr. Mistopheles, the dancing cat in the
Yep.
show, that
So
gets the
s-
fantastic dance numbers.
Yeah.
But for this, it was Skimbleshanks.
Skimbleshanks, played by
and he
Stephen
sang,
McRae, was a phenomenon.
He
He's
sang and he
sensational.
danced,
Yeah.
and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
That number, he put on tap shoes, and that's how the whole film should have been. in my opinion. If they'd done that for the entire film, we would have had a different experience.
Yeah.
There's also a moment, if I'm talking about the other, I think that takes up 4 minutes.
Okay.
The moment of memory takes up another minute. I also enjoyed McCavity, the song McCavity. Song, was it Taylor Swift?
By Taylor Swift, yeah.
I thought that was quite
that was
a nice
the only
moment.
real moment of true theatricality, having her descend in that sort of really theatrical way, having them react to her, and it was the closest we got to a full set piece.
And that followed Skimbleshanks.
Yeah.
So that there was
So
a sequence.
Maybe 10 minutes in total.
No, 7.
7 minutes.
7 minutes
7
is as
minutes.
far as I'm going.
Let's move on to cast in general.
Come on then,
Actually,
let's talk.
No, I don't want to move on to cast now. I'm not ready for that yet.
Okay, what we got coming?
I just want to talk about the new song. I want to talk about Beautiful
Ghosts.
Ghosts. And do you know what was the most odd thing about that for me? Actually, a couple of things about the score and one about the plot. The most odd thing about Beautiful Ghosts was the fact that its narrative, it was the only song in there that's truly narrative. It's sort of saying this is what you are and who I am and where I'm going to go. Whereas all of the other numbers are individual numbers, yet we suddenly had this change of pace, which took me completely by surprise and threw me at the moment. I felt like I was watching a different show because those numbers had been staged and that song was written in such a way as to literally just push the story along, but we don't get that anywhere else in the score.
Okay.
Bizarre.
Came and went with me.
Came and went.
Yeah.
Also, these. Now I can't remember. I know we saw cats earlier this year.
We saw cats.
I won't know. You know what I've got in my head because
What's that?
Do you know what's in my head?
What's
I
in your head?
wonder if when they did it originally, instead of a cast list, they called it the cats list. You know, like in the program. That's what I was thinking while I was in there. I was
They
like,
should have
do they call
done.
it the cats list
That's- I
instead of the
think
cast list?
If you're putting a show on, why
Yeah.
not make a cats list
do a
instead of a
cats
cast
list. Don't
list?
do a cast list.
Genius idea.
Thanks.
Are we moving
I
on
mean,
to
it might have
cast?
already happened. No.
Okay, there's more to
Still
come.
talking about score.
Okay.
And the way things sit, because like I say, I can't really remember. So Old Deuteronomy doesn't come in until quite late.
Yes.
Yet they're all putting on numbers to try and get to the heavyside layer.
In this.
Yet Old Deuteronomy isn't there to witness 60%
The
of them.
early ones
So
of
they
those.
just wasted their bloody time.
Yes,
Didn't they?
Like I
Why?
say, don't think too much into it,
Okay.
Legger Simon. Leggers,
I'm thinking, who
fellow
are you
Leggers,
performing
don't
to?
think too
Do
much
you know
into
what
it.
I'd have liked? I'd have liked it if Old Deuteronomy had a spy and was like feeding back secretly about the cats. I was thinking this might be where this new character of Victoria comes from.
Maybe.
She's been planted by Old Deuteronomy.
What a
But
twist.
and that would have been an interesting twist. Didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
Didn't
Okay.
happen. Let's start with Francesca Hayward because she is brand new. It's her cinematic debut. She's the hot new pussy in town, and all the boys want her.
Okay, so usually all the numbers are sung to the audience, but this character, who is it played by?
Francesca Hayward.
So Francesca, she's like the new cat. She's being abandoned and she is being talked through the ropes, I guess, by all the other Jellicle cats,
Yeah.
with the hope of possibly becoming a Jellicle cat. So they're telling the story to her when it normally is us, the audience, at the stage.
I want to say she's a personification. She's a pussification of the audience.
Of the audience, yes. Although we are actually spoken to at the end, in the
Yes.
very last. Very bizarre.
We break the
Anyway.
fourth wall, and Judi Dench gives us a hideous monologue.
It's not a monologue because it's sung.
A song-a-log.
She gives us a hideous song-a-log.
She gives
Okay.
she gives us a log you might find in a litter tray. Is what she gives us
definitely does.
because people were laughing at her.
Are we going to be talking about Judi Dench?
Let's move on
now?
to Judi Dench.
Okay, she's great when she's not singing. Seriously, the moments when she was just observing and being present, she's so captivating.
Yes.
And I get why she's so great.
Yeah.
She can't
She gives
sing.
good face, but she can't sing for
Can't
toffee.
sing. And when the score needs to be delivered well, it's written well, the numbers just land flat.
Yeah.
So that was painful for me
Yeah.
at times, though I love her.
Although the song "Old Deuteronomy" was actually, I really enjoy that number. I think it's beautifully written, and the music
better.
under the old.
Yes, it's a
the
great
music is really well written.
Don't
It's
listen to
actually-
this cast recording.
Yeah, don't listen to this, but it's actually
Yes.
the music. Forget the
It's
lyrics.
rousing.
I mean, forget the lyrics. They did. No, they didn't. But the music is stunning.
Absolutely,
Now,
but the music,
Deuteronomy.
the score is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
And when the cast does it justice.
Yeah.
So that's her. Let's talk about Ian McKellen.
Let's talk about Ian McKellen. I love him.
I love him.
Yeah, I mean, I want to give him a big hug. I think he played this character with such sort of vulnerability and lack of confidence in his own ability, and I believed him. Again, can't sing particularly greatly, but it didn't matter.
No.
Although the Fiend of the Fell number is about dogs, isn't it?
Well,
Where
what
was
happens
that?
is
I'm
we kind of
confused.
miss bits. We kind of miss the battle of the dogs and the cats.
Yeah.
That's gone.
Gone.
We've also got his character going back in time and reenacting his famous part
That's gone.
of where he played the Fiend of the
Yeah,
Fell
it
on the
doesn't do
ship.
that.
That's gone
gone.
as well. And that number would have worked for me, I think, had the rest of the piece been danced and dynamic. However, because it isn't, it's just slow and drudgy like the rest of the whole piece.
Yeah, absolutely agree. But Ian McKellen is just
He's a
lovely
legend.
to watch. He's a legend, and you know what? I don't think he can do much wrong. Let's
And-
move on to Idris
yeah.
Elba as McCavity.
He did what he could.
He did
He
what-
can't sing.
Yeah, but they seem
he's
to
the
know
villain
that. It wasn't
cat.
given too
And they
much
made
song.
something more of the villain cat.
Yeah.
I didn't like the idea of him having magic powers.
Also, why is he so? So they sort of touch on at one moment. It seems that we'll just talk about Rebel Wilson briefly as well as Jenny Anydots. She seems to have quite a nice life. She's loved in her home. She makes her own entertainment because she's a bit lonely, but she sort of have everything she needs. And at one point, Victoria says to her, "Why would you want to go to another life? Why would you want to be reborn? It seems like you've got everything you want here. You're having a great time." For me, McCavity's desperate to be reborn. He's desperate to get to the Heaviside layer, but
Yeah.
we never find out what his motivation is. I'm thinking to myself,
Oh,
why
this is
is your
deep.
life so bad? I'm trying to give it some depth, guys. I
Again,
think-
you're looking too
no,
deep, Lego
I'm not.
Simon.
I'm not looking too deep because what Tom Hooper had here was a perfect opportunity to give meaning where it wasn't originally. Because traditionally it's a sung-through piece, yet there were moments of spoken dialogue in this where we could have got a glimpse, a further glimpse. What I'm trying to get at is why put it onto film if you've nothing extra to add? If you can't look at it and go, that doesn't work on a screen. Let's give it a little bit more story. Just no
I
chance
agree.
to do that.
But it wasn't done with that.
Yeah.
The piece works for me if you are under the age of 7.
Do you mean this
Usually-
film works for you?
Yeah,
Not
this
the
film.
piece?
No, okay, let's go for this
Okay,
film.
this
Yes,
film.
you're absolutely right. This film. I think usually films have age ratings 15 up. You can't watch it unless you're over a certain age, over 18. For this, I think it should be 7 under.
And under.
You've got to be 7 and under in
Backwards
order
rate
to
it, fellow
a
Leggers.
backwards
Yeah.
rating. I
Don't
think-
come.
because
Leave
I
your
think-
kids here and go shopping.
I think kids would enjoy it up to a certain age. I don't know how much the little leggers would enjoy it, but I think if your child is into dance and movement and
No,
those
because
kind
there
of
is. You don't
things-
see it. It's
Well,
you're talking a
you
load of
say
crap.
that.
If your child is into dance and music, take them to a stage musical and witness a craft. Don't witness an edit
But
and
this
a
is the
poor
film.
take.
In the first case,
Don't
yes.
bring them.
But if you're looking for a film, once they've seen Frozen and all of the other good films, then if you're still stuck for an idea, come and see Cats.
I would say, if wait till it comes onto like Netflix and then stick them in front of it, because for 2 hours they will leave you in complete and utter peace because they'll just be bewildered. Like they'll be the most confused. I could just
Or they'll
imagine
be terrified.
toddlers, yeah, and hide behind the sofa. But I can imagine toddlers just going for like 2 hours of pure peace and joy.
You'll come back and they'll be like.
Let's talk about James Corden as Bustopher Jones.
Do you know, there are a couple of moments I found him quite funny.
Okay.
A couple of isolated
Were you laughing on the
moments.
inside?
I thought his number was awful,
Yeah.
awfully staged, awfully choreographed as well. Lots of interaction with set and props, but there were a couple of moments where he just had one-liners interacting with other characters, and I actually found that quite humorous. I didn't laugh, and I didn't laugh through a lot of the film.
There
Any
wasn't
of the
any
film.
comedy. There wasn't any comedy.
They were trying.
There was no
though.
real.
They were trying.
too bloody hard.
Even
there
Rebel
was no
Wilson.
real drama.
No adult comedy.
No adult comedy.
No
it was all
adult
sort of
drama,
picking
but
up
for
litter
kids.
and
I think for kids.
Seven
that's
and
where I keep
below.
going.
Seven and below.
Seven and below.
Let's talk about Ray Winston.
Ray Winston.
As Growl Tiger.
It's a real cameo role, really.
It is a bit of a cameo role, but don't mess with me because I will piss on your sofa, mates. That's sort of how he was.
This is a part invented for this film.
Yeah.
It's talked about, but it's not actually a part. So he was who he was.
Let's talk about Jason Derulo as Rum Tum Tugger.
This is a great part in the show. In the film, come and gone, lacked real class, personality.
I mean, he's sexy even as a cat, let's face it. Jason
Yeah.
Derulo is a dish. And even in that fursuit, I'm wondering what's going on underneath. But
There's
yeah,
so
that was
much
about all.
more. There's so much more in that. There's so much more movement and style and class, and he just wasn't given it.
Also, let's talk about Jennifer Hudson as Grisabella.
She sang. She sings
And that's what she
very
does.
well.
She's
and
an incredible
she
vocalist.
gave all she could, and she was there, but it was all very still. It's a very isolated part, really, because she just pops in and out on her own, and then she gets the big final revelation.
Yeah.
That's as much.
But this is, I mean, in terms of hearing and seeing the emotion that Jennifer Hudson can give, when she was Effie White and there's desperate vulnerability and that sort of, absolutely, feeling down. She is a great actress, and her acting through song is solid. I've had the joy of seeing her live up close and personal, and she is a great interpreter of song. And in this vintage Jennifer Hudson.
Yes, it's vintage.
Worth
but
seeing.
The director has gone, you're really good, stand, sing, and we'll get the camera
We'll just
there.
do that really close.
it. Which again, if the rest of the film was moving and dynamic, that would really stand out in contrast.
But it's all that.
It's so
Everyone's
slow.
just a close-up.
Magical Mr. Mistopheles, I tell you, had the speed of a snail. It just kept stopping. That's such a dynamic number, and it would just kept going and then stopping.
Considering as a
Kept going
child, that was my favourite
hopping.
number. It was one of my least in this, and it lacked pace, and it lacked
Drive.
It lacked
It lacked-
the punch. It lacked the. And you know what? It's because it wasn't delivered acrobatically and with energy. Where was the energy? That's what I want to know.
The whole piece lacked energy.
But not a complete waste of time, because, like I say, Jennifer Hudson can sing the hell out of it.
Are we kind of summing up? Do we
Let's
want
sum
to? Do we
up.
want to stick on gun stars?
Okay, let's go
You're
on
probably
stars.
wondering how many stars we are going to give the film of Cats. Our first film review.
Yeah.
Usually it's theatre.
Might
as you
be
probably
our
know.
last.
Well, there's lots of good movies coming up. We've got West Side Story coming up.
Yes,
Steven
that's
Spielberg.
true.
So
We might
come
do
see
more
that.
of these.
But anyway, for this film of Cats, we are going to give 2 stars for this.
It's
film.
not a complete waste of time, because there's 10 minutes of great moments.
7
minutes of great moments. There's also some lovely performances. Jennifer Hudson has got such emotion and beauty. And do you know what? The cast work really, really hard, and it's not their fault that in the edit and in the production and in the direction they've been completely overlooked. And I don't think that's their fault. I wouldn't say avoid it at all costs. It's not the worst thing I've seen, and I didn't fall asleep. So that's for me is a plus. But you know what? It's on the edge, guys. It's on the edge of not really worth bothering with.
For kids, it's a win. You've just got to come with the right people. The person I was sat with wasn't the right person.
Not me, you mean? You mean
Not
next to?
you.
You said the person you came with.
Sat
Who
next
were you
to.
here with?
No, I said
fancy
come with
seeing
the
you
right.
here.
Come with the right person.
Yeah.
The person who I sat next to, not you. The other side
Okay.
was the wrong person.
He was making it for me.
I mean, he made it for me for all the wrong reason, fellow leggers. He wanted to go. He fell asleep at one point. His partner was like, "No, you're staying there." 'Cause she was singing along to all the memory stuff. That was entertaining as well. And then he got really passive aggressive.
Not, I would never do that. And then he went up and went at one point, and then when he finished, he went, "Hallelujah!" like that
was
really
entertaining.
loud.
And I feel a bit bad because I think that person is scarred for life. She's never going to be able to take him to a musical again.
Which is a
because
real
this
tragedy.
film has given Cats musicals a bad name. And for that, I'm afflicted and I'm wounded and I'm bitter. However, come for the right audience. If you're there was someone behind you who was very much
There was a
enjoying
woman
it.
crying her eyes out at memory. I could hear the sniffles. She was having the time of her life. Remember, everything is somebody's favourite thing.
But hey, that's just what I
And if
think.
you know no better. Anyway, it's just what I think. What do you think? Please hit subscribe if you'd like to see more of us.
And let us know what you think.
Yeah, it's not a cheap night out coming to the cinema, so let us come for you and tell you what to think. Not to think. We'll tell you what to think. You should think this is crap.
But hey, share your thoughts.
It's not just cinema that we review. We're in London's West End so much. We're in regional
Absolutely.
theatres. We are seeing all of the big shows and everything in between. So come and join us. Be a fellow legger.
Anyway, we are the
We'll
Breakleggers.
catch you again soon.
Bye.